Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you for being here. I hope you all had an amazing weekend and you're all doing well and all that happy stuff. You know why we're here? We're here to talk about fragrances that remind me of being outdoors, of nature. You know, some go in a woody direction, some go earthy. You're just gonna have to stay tuned and find out what's on this list, and it comes up right after the intro. Let's do this. Before we get into the fragrances in the list that you all came here to see, in the list that I've prepared for you to watch, I just want to mention, if you're new here, my name is Dave, this is Calisgroomroom, and right here we talk about all things men's grooming related, especially the wonderful world of fragrance, the ultimate accessory to your wardrobe. If you don't believe me that it's the ultimate accessory of the wardrobe, go ahead. Just spray more and find out. All right, let's talk about the first fragrance up on the list. You know what? I lied. Real fast, guys. If you are a fan of the outdoors, nature, being out there, tell me yes or no if you are. And if you are a fan of being outdoors, let me know, what are some of your favorite things to do outside? It could be anything. Just let me know. The first fragrance we're talking about, jumping into the list now proper, is from Rogue Perfumery. This one is called Bon Monsieur. Yes, it's a fougere. I know what you're thinking, but hang with me here. This reminds me of being outside, just wherever, but being outdoors on a nice warm day, preferably. But this is also great for fall. It's a great time to wear fougères in the spring and the fall, whatever. I wear mine year round, but anyway, let's talk about Bon Monsieur. So in here you have lavender, you have bergamot for balsam, geranium, oak moss, cedarwood, patchouli, and sandalwood. A few things you need to know about this. First thing, it's not IFRA compliant. What you see is what you get, and you get the real deal, guys. You get the real life experience, a classic fougere fragrance that reminds me of being outside on a warm day. That's just what it does for me. That's what it reminds me of. I love this fragrance. What more could I really say? If you like classic style fougères, but you're looking for something a little bit more modern while still maintaining that classic fougere feel, this is the one for you to try. This stuff is exceptional. Everything about it is great, from opening to mid to dry down, up to and including the performance of this stuff. It's gonna hang around and last all day on skin, on clothing. You're gonna have no issues there. Definitely check out Rogue Perfumery and check out Bon Monsieur. I highly recommend this stuff. It is a great fougere fragrance. With a big smile on my face, the next fragrance comes to us from the house that a good friend of mine, I'm going to shout him out right now, Simon Scents. If you guys are on Instagram, you're fragrance lovers, you probably know who the guy is. He recommended this brand and this fragrance for me to try last winter. I did, and man, I'm not disappointed that I pulled the trigger on this one. Whoop! Wazo by Monsillage. My God, is this stuff great. It's a great one. It's really a great fragrance. It reminds me of being in the woods, damp, you know, maybe just moments after a rainstorm ended. That's kind of what this reminds me of. You have damp earthiness, you have damp woods in here. You also have benzoin that gives me like this ambery but sap. It reminds me of tree sap, and maybe it's that combination of vanilla and benzoin that does it for me. I'm not quite sure, but I get a sap-like feeling here, just making it one hell of an earthy, woody type of experience. Also, if you guys don't know about Wazo, but you're familiar with Amber Absolute from Tom Ford, and we miss that fragrance. Yes, we do, we know. This is a great alternative to that. Now, if you take out some of the incense-like quality of Amber Absolute, you will be very close to Wazo. It doesn't smell exactly, it's not 100%, but there's no denying that they do remind me and other people of one another, and it's true. Definitely check this out. Very affordable too. I think this comes in right around $100 for us here in America, and they do ship to the States as well. Purchased direct from them, and they got it here relatively quickly. Definitely recommend the House of Monsillage, another brand that I can't wait to explore more fragrances by them. But anyway, earthy nature style fragrances, and that's Wazo. The next fragrance on this list, what the hell could I say? It was Love at First Sniff. Incident Diplomatique by Jovoy. One of two fragrances on the list that are from underrated houses. Jovoy, yes, is an underrated house right here on YouTube. Not many people are talking about it. This stuff is fantastic, and yes, it reminds me of nature. It reminds me of the outdoors. It's very earthy. You have two different types of vetiver in here. You have Java vetiver oil here. You also have Haitian vetiver in combination with this patchouli. The patchouli starts off chocolate cake-like, but then it dries down to this damp, earthy feel that you get in the fragrance. In the base there, oh, man, it's exceptional. Even if you're not a fan of vetiver and or patchouli, you're going to like this. You know why? I wasn't a fan of either one of those notes, and this is the fragrance that changed everything that I thought I knew about both notes, vetiver and patchouli. This stuff is just absolutely incredible. If you're the outdoors type, if you're an outdoorsman, or you know, you're a woman and you like being outdoors, or if you just simply are looking for a fragrance that gives off that feel, look no further. This stuff is amazing. You can also overspray this and you won't choke anybody out or yourself, and it'll last all day if you do overspray it. So I don't really need to say any more. This fragrance does the trick if you're looking for that type of a feel. Check it out, Incident Diplomatique by Jovoy. Awesome, awesome fragrance. All right, so we're going back to back with these underrated fragrance houses. This one is Amouroud. This is White Hinoki. Justin Copeland turned me on to this house 2 years ago, and I'm so glad he did. Oh, man, this stuff is so good. There's one thing, and I've said this before. So they use this note of ginger like nobody else does, and you can like blind smell the fragrances, right? And you know if they contain ginger because of the way they utilize ginger. It's this spicy, fizzy ginger that they utilize, and it's just like one of those things where it's kind of like synonymous with the house. You smell a fragrance and you're like, oh, there's ginger? I bet you that's Amouroud, because they use that ginger so creative and so well. But anyway, you have white pepper in here in combination with that ginger, like I was saying. You also have labdanum. You have heliotrope in here. You have this fresh cut Hinoki wood. And then to celebrate, because you just freshly cut that Hinoki wood to celebrate, you also have whiskey and tobacco here in the base. This stuff is exceptional. Don't get turned off by boozy notes or thinking that the tobacco goes smoky or anything like that. It's not. It's a very dry tobacco leaf type of a feel. It's very nice. It's very subtle. When that Hinoki wood is introduced, it's the star player. It's so, so good. This is a damn good fragrance by a damn good house, one that you absolutely need to check out. If you haven't tried anything from Amouroud, the Whitewoods collection is a great place to start. That's where you could find this, Whetstone, and something else. But that is a great place to start. If you're looking for more of their like easier to wear type of fragrances, that's a great place to start there. That collection is just simply phenomenal. It truly is. And this is a house you definitely need to put on your list, again, of fragrances to try before 2021 is over. Amouroud White Hinoki. Well, you can't talk about fragrances that remind you of the outdoors and earthy and woods and all that and not include this fragrance. Of course, we're talking about Hacivat by Nishane. What really do I need to say? Do I need to say anything about this fragrance? The only thing you really need to be concerned with are three things. This starts off with fresh, sweet, almost tart-like fruits in the top. Then you have patchouli and oak moss. That's two. And then the third thing, you have woody notes. This is a true earthy experience with that tart fruitiness up top, and that tart fruitiness carries throughout the life of the fragrance. Speaking of the life of the fragrance, this stuff 10 to 12 hours on skin for me. It lasts on my clothes for days, literally. I'm not saying that phrase that like all the cool kids say, but this literally lasts for days. Great performance here. You don't have to worry about that. Everything, if you don't know this fragrance, everything you heard about it is true except for one thing. This reminds me 0% of Aventus. I don't understand where all the Aventus comparisons come from. I guess because it has pineapple in it. But if you're buying this expecting it to be like Aventus, it's not. They're like two totally separate things. Just because pineapple is in a note, don't default your brain to Aventus. Don't make that mistake. But guys, if you're looking for an earthy experience in combination with some of those sweet, tart-like fruits, definitely check out Hacivat. Another one that reminds me of being outdoors, again, differently. Another fragrance I can wear all year round because of the notes that I described for you. Definitely check out Hacivat from Nishane. 10 out of 10 times, I will always recommend this over Tom Ford Oud Essential by Guerlain. Yes, this is Guerlain's, upper echelon of fragrances, and this stuff is damn good. You have oud in here, you have rose, you have leather, and what's funny about the leather in here, there's a little bit of an animalic feel, and I can't quite tell if it's from the oud or if it's from the leather, because it could really be from both. The reason why I say I would choose this over Tom Wood to recommend somebody that's new to oud is simply because you can actually smell the oud in here. That is why. And for people, I could see this being somewhat challenging to wear, and most ouds that you're going to find out there are going to be somewhat of a challenge to wear, whereas the Tom Ford Oud Wood, if that's your beginner's way into oud, when you actually smell real oud fragrances that use like real oud, you may get turned off. I've seen it happen a ton, and I just don't want you to make that same mistake. I figure if you could handle this, there's other ouds out there that you're going to be able to handle. But other than all that, you do have cedar in here, fresh cedar, maybe even like wood chips or wood shavings. I wouldn't call it pencil shavings, but something like wood chip feel. There's also something I get here that reminds me of pine trees or pine needles or maybe pine sap, something like that. I wouldn't say pine sap because there's nothing sweet about this. I would say more of that pine tree or pine needle feel. I get that in here as well. This stuff is so good. Performance here is ridiculous. I'm talking that 8 to 10 hours, even longer on clothing. Stuff is fantastic. Definitely check out Oud Essential if you haven't already by Guerlain. This stuff is awesome. Well, the inspiration of the video comes at number one, rightfully so. That is, of course, Chipmunk. Guys, I love this stuff. If you didn't know, if you didn't catch that video review, you need to. It was, I had a lot of fun doing that, and man, this stuff is just exceptional. I would go as far as to say that this needs to be in the conversation of one of the best fragrance releases from the niche world in 2021. This stuff is incredible. Some things that I said in that video, I'm going to say right here. This truly reminds me of everything that I want in a fall fragrance. You have the spices in here like cardamom, like nutmeg. You also have these woody notes here, this earthiness going on here in the fragrance. It's absolutely amazing. It reminds me of walking on a hiking trail and smelling the fresh woods. You get the branches, you get the dried leaves there on the ground. You get the damp earth. I mean, there's everything you could possibly think of and love in this fragrance right here. You have a heavy dose of hazelnut in here also. There is an animal notes in the base. And if you didn't catch that review and you're planning on watching it after this, just go along with me and make me feel better. Anyway, the animal notes here is not what you're thinking because of that combination of what's going on in the base. And I explain it further in that review, but because of what's going on in the base here, you don't get an overdose of those animalic notes. So this doesn't go animalic on me. Not that, I mean, there is definitely, you smell it, you sense it, but it's masked and blended so well with the other ingredients that it's hardly detectable here. And I love it. Guys, that's the end of the list. I know, you wanted to see more, you wanted to hear more from me, but that's the end of the list, guys. I grabbed 7. Why did I grab 7? I don't know. Maybe I was thinking of John Elway. Maybe I was thinking of Kenny Lofton. Or maybe I was thinking of them both. But anyway, guys, listen, before I get out of here, I do want to remind you, I do want to keep encouraging you to do this. Love each other. Take care of each other. Respect everyone, of course. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'll see you very soon. Peace.